Okay, so ready to dive in. Today we are looking at some really cool ideas from Teru Nakashima, who works as an HSP counselor and dives into self-esteem and this fascinating thing called Adlerian psychology.
Oh, yeah, I love this stuff.
So we're going to go deep on this concept of like being okay with not being liked by everyone.
Which, yeah, sounds simple, but it's pretty profound when you really think about it.
Right. Like, I think all of us, especially like if you're a sensitive person, if you're a kind person,
Oh, totally.
you want people to like you.
Yeah, it's like ingrained almost.
Yeah, but Nakashima's point is that needing that approval can actually make us less true to ourselves.
Exactly. Like one of the core principles of Adlerian psychology is this idea that we have control over how we respond to things.
Okay.
Even stuff like criticism, like disapproval from others, we choose how that affects us.
So it's not like, oh, someone doesn't like me, my world is over.
Not at all. Like, think about it practically for a second.
Right.
Nakashima talks about this thing called the 2.6.2 rule.
6-2. Okay.
It's based on the Pareto principle, but basically if you imagine 10 people around you, statistically only 2 are going to genuinely like you. 6 are kind of indifferent. They don't really care either way.
The neutral zone.
And then 2 might actually dislike you.
Wow. Okay. So only 2 out of 10 are really vibing with us.
Which, yeah, that can be a little jarring to hear.
It is.
But it highlights how much energy we waste trying to please literally everyone.
It's impossible, right? Like mathematically, you're not going to get a 10 out of 10 all the time.
Exactly. And on top of that, when we're so focused on the people who don't like us or might not, we neglect those 2 who actually do.
The real ones, the ones who get you.
Precisely. So it's not about being like a hermit and not caring what anyone thinks.
Yeah.
It's about being mindful about where your energy goes.
So like a freedom to focus on the good stuff.
Yeah. And when you're not so worried about everyone liking you, you can actually really be yourself.
So this is where that color thing comes in, right? I think Nakashima uses that term a lot.
Oh, yeah, he does. And it's such a cool way to think about it.
So like, how does that work? What's the color metaphor?
Okay, so think of it like this. Everyone has a unique color, right? It's your personality, your values, your interests, everything that makes you you.
Makes sense.
And the more vibrant, the more like bold that color is, the more people are going to react to it, right? Some are going to be drawn to it.
Yeah, love it.
Some won't care.
Neutral.
And some might actually hate it.
That's the 2 out of 10.
Ha, exactly. But the point is, if you try to like dull your color, tone it down so everyone will accept it.
You become kind of bland.
Exactly. You end up colorless. And what's the point of that?
Like a beige wall?
Basically, it makes me think of someone like Madonna.
Oh yeah, she's definitely not beige.
Not even close. She is all about that bold color, even when people hate it.
And she's been super successful.
Exactly. And she said something like, there's always going to be people that dislike you, so you might as well just be yourself.
I love that quote.
Right. It's like permission to be yourself.
Exactly. It's like, own it, even if it ruffles some feathers.
Totally. It doesn't mean being rude or mean, just being authentically you.
So how can our listener, listening right now, how can they start to put this into action? What's the first step?
Well, I'd say start with paying attention to yourself. Like, notice when you're holding back. Are you not saying something because you're afraid of what people might think?
Oh, all the time.
Right. Are you dimming your color to try and fit in?
Okay, and then what? Like, what do we do when we realize that's happening?
Well, that's where the courage comes in, right? Like the courage to be disliked.
Ooh, I like that.
It's about saying, okay, this is me, this is my color. And if some people don't like it...
That's okay.
Exactly. You don't need everyone on board to live a fulfilling life.
So the big takeaway here is you don't need universal approval to be happy.
In fact, accepting that some people won't like you can be incredibly freeing.
It's a permission slip to be yourself.
It really is. So I guess the final thought I'd leave everyone with is, what would you do differently if you weren't afraid of being disliked? What color would you express?
That's a good question.
Right. Like, what amazing things might you accomplish?
Ooh, I like that.
How might your life change?
Okay, listeners, go think about that.
Yeah, let us know what you come up with.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone.
Yeah, this was a fun one.
Until next time, 2016.